Before we start the Grapple Asia podcast episode, we want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors and people that support us. Softspot.Açaí. Kat has a little store now in Tonglo, and they do some incredible acai. It's sugar-free, no preservatives, and they have little pop-ups around the place. They had a little pop-up in Paragraph and M-Quartier recently, but they're mainly based in Tonglo. They're available on Grab as well, and they do some great dairy hybrid options as well, and their nut butters are incredible. The pistachio one I highly recommend personally. Our sponsor is fightaesthetic.asia, and if you use code Grapple Asia, you'll get 10% off everything except from the Alpha Gi. So thank you to Aesthetic for always supporting us, and we actually do also supply them in Thailand with free shipping as well. All right, so this is the Grapple Asia podcast. It's going to be episode 33. I've got with me Mr. Ralli, Achilles, and bit of a list of titles I need to read out for him. Chairman for Fight of the Future Foundation. We've got General Secretary, Thailand Association of Mixed Martial Arts, member of the Most Admirable Order of, please pronounce it for me. Please don't pronounce it.
You got this.
Dear Kunopon, let's say, okay. Three-time SAA Games judo champion, former captain of the Thai National Judo Team, one Friday night commentator, action drama movie actor now, co-founder of Ralli's, which is one of the best Greek restaurants in Thailand, professor in Sensei Arete, and co-founder of Siam Cup, which is one of the best local comps in Bangkok.
I feel like I have to congratulate you for that match. That was an excellent
33
introduction in the most Thai cultural way you could have done it.
33 episodes in a row. I gotta learn something, right? So obviously, we're colleagues in a way. We both coach at the same jiu-jitsu gym that gave us so much, Arete. And but obviously, you have quite an extensive competitive background in judo, and obviously, you're Thai Greek, but you're raised in the UK for a long time. So can you just start with share your journey and how martial arts started, basically, how your journey started?
Being born in the 80s, 84, by the time I was sort of like 4, I mean, my father was a former national coach for the Greek national judo team. Mm-hmm. So like way back. He kind of brought judo to like northern Greece back in the days. So he kind of like, as far as I can remember, I kind of just grew up on the mat. Mm-hmm. Must have been about 3 or 4 years old, but me and my brother were already wearing gis and just on the judo mat. That's like my first memory, let's say, at that age. So just growing up in London and then living in Greece and back and forth, judo was just always a part of our life, mm-hmm. Wherever we went.
Yeah. Yeah. So what brought, your Greece ties, what brought you to the UK, or being raised in the UK especially?
My father was like a big sort of believer in like sort of really pushing the mind and the body, both of them. So judo being the martial art chosen, like, and then passing it down to me and my brother. He was also a theoretical physicist. So he studied like black holes and string theory, like this is like way back in the 80s. And so I guess he kind of always had that expectation for us to challenge ourselves intellectually as well. Like, so, you know, at the time, my father being Greek Cypriot, he was living in the UK and teaching mathematics and these things. So, and judo. So I guess we kind of like just were born into that expectation of always having to exercise the mind and the body. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then, obviously, I think you moved permanently around like 2005 to Bangkok, right?
To Bangkok, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I basically grew up in the UK, mm-hmm. Finished secondary school there, South London, Peckham, 80s, 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely shaped me and my brother's character in a way where, you know, it gets you ready for life in a certain way. Like, you know, when you grow up around that much sort of crime, but let's say opportunity, through sports, you kind of have to make a choice early in life, you know. So thankfully, you know, and that always depends about the people that are around you that help influence that choice. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, we have good people around us. So we just kind of stayed the path, and yeah, in the end, it kind of paid off dividends, I guess, like 40 years later, mm-hmm. and still like able to do things that are to do with my passion, which is martial arts.
You've got quite an extensive competitive background as well. I mean, you end up being like the captain of the Thai National Judo Team, and you won the SCA games in 2007, 2009, 2011. Could you just give me like an idea of like what it takes to actually become like a Southeast Asian champion, 3-time Southeast Asian champion in judo?
Yeah, judo's brutal.
It is a brutal sport.
It can be brutal, man. I mean, the journey that to get to those competitions, I can only remember like winning those competitions just completely battered before even doing the competition, right? And SEA Games is like so important in Thailand. Like, you could at minimum 3 fights to win the gold against either, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Singapore, all these countries, Indonesia. They're so strong in judo. I was always just injured just because of the training and the preparation for it. Like, it's just no other way to prepare. Judo is just one of those combat sports where you just get injured. So it's more about a question of like who pushes through those injuries and who's able to show up on the day. And, and especially in those periods, like the 90s, the early 2000s, like, we didn't have those kind of like training methods that they do now, where it's more like specific and scientific and whatnot. Like, so yeah, definitely an era where like you kind of had to be tough. Like,
yeah. Is there any kind of like cultural differences or something that you could, that definitely, like, there's a big difference between, let's say, the training in Greece, for example, training in the UK, training in Thailand? Are there any cultural differences that shape the training, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when you travel a lot and you train everywhere, every country has their own sort of fighting spirit, In the UK, they have a particular fighting spirit. That has a historical background, as does Greece, as does Thailand. Like, so you see the differences in those three and kind of take from all of them in a way, like, so just like, but the background, like, so for example, in Greece, like where we live in Greece is northern Greece. So it's it's sort of considered Balkans. It's near the border with Albania, with Fyrom, Bulgaria. So these are Balkans, and they have their old tradition. They're mostly wrestling-based combat sports, and boxing. So, when you come to Thailand, of course, it's like heavy Muay Thai, So I guess that's like one of the cultural differences, like, and you get a lot in Eurasia, like those places. When you travel a lot, like Japan, mostly, I guess Japan kind of has it all, though. Like, you have your grappling arts, you have your striking arts, like, so... Definitely, like, seeing the differences in the three, like having lived in the West for 20 years now, living in the East for 20 years, you definitely get to see those differences in the martial arts. But how that carries through in the culture, like, is different as well. Like, we often talk about that, like, in the difference in culture, like being in the West, you're kind of expected to earn respect. When we meet someone, it's like, who are you? Like, what have you done? Okay, now you've done this. Okay, you earn respect. In the East, Thailand, it's like, because of the culture, like, you're automatic, when you meet someone, you're already giving them respect by calling them P, Lunong, Senpai, Kohai. All these, the culture is just different here. Like, but if you do something wrong, you get that respect taken away from you. Like, you can't get that back here. So, like, I'm definitely seeing that the difference in that culture, like, going on a deeper, like, level, like,
All right. And at what point did Jiu-Jitsu come into your life?
Oh, man. Probably when I met the General Andrew McDonald.
The general to us all.
The man, the myth, the legend. Definitely, man. The founder of Arate, Grappling Academy, Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Definitely meeting Andrew, like, it took me on a different path, like, because at the time I had retired from competitive judo. I was doing work with my brother, but with some businesses and whatnot. I was working for a law firm as well at the time. And then I kind of met Andrew, like, and we kind of like gelled, and he just invited me to come and teach judo at his jiu-jitsu gym. And then kind of from then on, we started growing the judo program at Arate, but also I started training jiu-jitsu, like, so I guess like thanks to Andrew, like we kind of that relationship. But again, like that only happened because you kind of gel as friends, as brothers, and then you kind of embark. Because when you're doing martial arts with people, like it's, you know, it can get very real, like. You know, so it's important to form those deep relations with people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your first impressions like starting jiu-jitsu compared to like judo, for example? I mean, you had an extensive record of like competing in judo, and then obviously grappling or jiu-jitsu, for example, is quite culturally it's quite different. It's a little bit more chill, right?
It does.
Did that throw you off a little bit?
No, I mean it's just a matter of adapting. Like I guess like with judo, you kind of have like this philosophical like motive that the ippon, the throw, represents death. From the ancient times in Japan, like on the battlefield with all that armor, like if you get thrown on your back, you're getting stabbed. You know, you're dead. So that is where sport comes from. Sport is a simulation of what were, you know, ancient war times, right? If you look at the Olympics, like all the sports in the ancient Olympics were representations of mimicking what war was. Sport is a simulation of war. So when you look at it from that perspective, like judo is that feeling. So that's why the ippon represents, you just lose. Once you get thrown on your back with impetus, you're done. So like with that feeling, when you grow up with that feeling, you constantly have that feeling of never wanting to get thrown on your back.
Yeah.
So that I guess is for me is the main difference between the philosophical motive behind jiu-jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or submission grappling, because there's not much emphasis on the actual takedown. It's more about submitting your opponent, forcing them to tap, to give up by any means possible without striking, for example. So I guess that those two differences really, you know, finding that with Jiu-Jitsu intrigued me because I'd been so used to a different mentality with Judo. So I guess like, yeah, it's just all fun from there. Like once you start to get into that and then combine the two, then you're onto something.
Yeah.
You know,
It's pretty interesting what when you first started competing in jiu-jitsu as well. I mean, after having such an extensive like competitive career in judo as well, coming back, like it's pretty interesting that you still had that fire to compete as well. I mean, you end up competing in the ADCC trials in Asia as well, which is pretty crazy considering how many years you've been, like how much damage and how much, you know, you put yourself through at the SCA games, and then you end up in Tokyo doing the ADCC trials as well. How was that experience? I mean, it's nogi as well, right? Yeah,
I mean, you know, when you just grow up with that mentality of constantly being around teammates and people that just want to compete as well, like, you know, Andrew and the boys, like we decided to do it like that year. But like I said, I was just casually doing BJJ after being like competitive with judo. And then I was 30 kilos what I used to be, you know, more than that. And I was like, I think I entered in like the under 99 kilogram category. Like, so like I knew what I was getting myself into. So we had a good like preparation. Like, it was probably about 2 months preparation that we trained really hard at. I'd say, like, I remember everyone helped out. Like, it was an amazing experience. And that was the experience that I felt I was missing. Like, I hadn't done a competition in sort of like that, at that level for maybe 3 or 4 years. And I thought, like, this is it. Like, and that when you have a good team and good teammates, they really push you, like, and you feel you want to do it and you want to succeed with them. Like, you want them to be part of that success. So, like, going to Japan and competing in the qualifiers. And then I remember the first guy that we fought, he was a giant, man, 99 kilos, Australian. And we, you know, cracked my leg, still managed to push through, like, you know, got the win. Second round, some sumo wrestler, like he'd won the trials like 4 times in a row. We had a slapping competition that was fun. With one, I was on one leg, so couldn't do much. But just the whole experience, like, you know, to be able to do that and to do that with your teammates, like, I think, you know, anyone who's kind of like seriously thinking about competing should do that. Like, win or lose, you know, you get to go through that experience. And for me at that point, you know, I guess winning wasn't, of course I wanted to win, I don't want to lose, but it didn't mean as much to me when I was in the national team doing judo, like, because I was at a different time in my life, like, you know, a lot of that time you're fighting for your pride, your national team, your country, like, but you're also fighting to kind of like survive financially as well. You know, so when we come for like submission grappling at that time in my life, like you kind of have a different motive for competing, like, you know. But it was definitely fun. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And now you're coaching at Arete. You're in charge of the morning crew in the judo team. How's that been, coaching jiu-jitsu?
Well, I mean, there aren't many places you can train at 7:30 in the morning, every morning.
It's true.
In Bangkok, you know.
So it's morning guys that come in and train morning jiu-jitsu, it's a different breed of person, isn't it?
These guys, man, they're unsung heroes, you know. Some of these guys have got, like, you know, families, they got full schedules, like, you know, businessmen, like, people are like, you know, but they come in the morning. I'm there every morning. I love those guys. But the work that they put in, like, you know, just to be able to be there on the mat, get their rounds in, a little bit of technique, a little warm-up, you know, it's a matter of, you know, being late, these things, like, you know, this is Bangkok. You got to be able to adapt. 2 reasons why someone could be late in Bangkok. Traffic or dodgy somtam, like before. Yeah. So, yeah, man, morning crew, man. Anyone who wants to come throw down some jits, 7:30 a.m. Arete, Bangkok, you know where it's at. Tonglo, come get some.
Or Saturday noon, going up at judo as well, eh?
Yeah. Judo, again, like the judo, because we were going back to talking about like how rough judo is, like, you know, and it's like you kind of think about it, if you're later in life and you kind of want to do judo, it's like you're kind of intimidated, like you think, oh man, if I start doing judo, I'm gonna get injured. And it's not like jiu-jitsu where you can start late in life and then you can sort of find a way to train where you don't get injured. You know, in judo, so we've got this class at the gym where it's like an hour every Saturday, and we try and make it as judo friendly as possible, like, you know, safe as possible. Like, so, you know, definitely a different type of class that I'm used to, or if you're a professional athlete that you're used to, if you go and train judo at the highest levels, like in Japan or South Korea or in Russia or Bulgaria, these places, you know.
Mm-hmm. No. So, obviously, martial arts has been. Have to cut that part out. So, and just pivoting off, martial arts has been the biggest. It is your life basically, and you kind of decided to create a foundation, fight for the future. Tell us a little bit about that and what the motivation behind that was.
But initially, like coming out of my judo career, I'd kind of realized that how much support I'd got from people around me and from the Thai government and certain entities. Like, so you kind of like gave me this feeling that I wanted to sort of like carry on that cycle of support for others. Like, so, you know, having met people like Adam Clark, who runs a foundation in the north, in Chiang Rai.
Chiang Rai, yeah, GF team.
Yeah, the GF team, and they help these traumatized children. A lot of them are victims of human trafficking, drug trafficking, and some of the worst things that you could think of. Like, you know, so definitely knowing Adam, who's a martial artist as well, like, and getting advice from him and guidance and how to sort of set up this foundation so that it can not just be a support system for one particular area, but how it can be expanded and how that model can just help integrate into the systems around Thailand to duplicate what is already happening in Chiang Rai, which is a support system for these kids where they come in, they learn martial arts, we teach them martial arts, they take care of them, they work with the schools and the orphanage homes where these kids are staying. And once they get good at martial arts, they can get scholarships, academic scholarships into university, which means that they can continue doing martial arts and competing, because Thailand has a good structure for this. And then once they graduate, they have career options. So like taking that model and just expanding on it now, like, and having the gym that we have in the Glongdoi slums that we partnered with OG Fightwear with Big Jim, and we set up a support system for the kids in the slums in Bangkok. Same way I set up with my friend Jer in Pisanulok. We set up a judo academy, which is next to an orphanage, so that in a school, so that we can connect sport with academia, which can hopefully create career options. Because not every kid is going to become like a world champion, like, you know. They're not all going to be, you know, but they can become some kind of champion or be consistent. And again, that comes back to the support system that the government has, like, you know, and organizations that work with the government. So definitely understanding the way the system works and then creating a platform and a system to work with those government systems and those organizations, like, because you can't just go around and just like help people, like, you know.
No.
It's got to be a bit official, like, you know, because that's how it works. Like, you know, you got to be official, otherwise you get things going a different way, like, you know, towards crime and things like that. So, yeah.
Where did the decision to build a gym in the slums come from? Obviously, it's a notorious area, or it used to be like way more notorious. But you know, you obviously held some nice little charity events there. You know, some like amateur fights and stuff like that. But what was the motivation for building the gym actually in the central area of that?
So that particular gym in the Klongtae slums, Jiujiteros, it's actually the sports community area, but. Back when I retired from judo with my brother, we were running businesses and restaurants and bars and things around central Bangkok. And at the time, like, you know, it was good to give job opportunities for locals, to be waiters, to be this and that, like, you know, and whatnot. So with that network that was created like over 10 years ago, you know, those people, those Thai people, they live in these areas, in the slums. So fast forward 6 years after that, and, you know, we're doing the foundation, and, you know, I talk to the people that I know that are on the ground, that are admired and are respected in the community in the slums. Because you can't just be anyone and just go in there and just say you want to help, like, you know. So, you know, with those people, like, who are now like successful artists, like rappers, they're successful, like, you know, they've stayed a good path and sent their trajectory towards focusing on art as a way out. And that's what martial arts is, like, that's why everyone kind of respects that process, like. So just being introduced to the local authorities through the people in the network that me and my brother have, is very important. And that's kind of like how the way things kind of work in Thailand. Like, you gotta have someone vouch for you, like, you know, and that you're not just there for the short term, you're there for the long term. And that combined with the right partner, you know, being partners with OGs has been a blessing. Like, you know, Big Jim, he's got such a big heart, like, you know, and, you know, the timing, just like with martial arts, like executing a perfect technique, like, you know, you got to find the right time to do things after you've created the plan. And it was the right time, and with the support from OG and from Jim, and we laid out the plan and we executed. And it's been like over 2 successful years in Klongtae, and we've managed to get 3 kids into schools through scholarships, through Muay Thai, and we managed to recently get one of our kids, 16, in the national team. So he's now in the national team, like, he's from the slums, like, and he's, you know, little gun. You know, he's a beast, like, you know, and he's from the slums. I had to help him get his passport the other day because he just qualified for the national team, and the first country he's going to travel to is Kingdom of Bahrain, like, you know. So
yeah,
imagine, like, if he one day makes it to one championship, like, you know, and you know, and becomes successful, and he's already like a community hero, like, he's just 16 years old, like, you know, the whole of Klongtae supports him, like. So just things like that, like moments like that, like, you can't, you know, that you got to have a certain way of doing things, like, to create those moments, like, for people, like, they don't just happen overnight, like, you know, and a lot of that is due to your network and the people around you, like, you know, and seeing the same vision, like, you know.
Yeah. So that leads me on to Gamma. How did that start? And tell me a little bit about pivoting from like judo over to like mixed martial arts.
Okay, so at the time I was sort of because I had a lot of students that were still judo players and they were switching over to MMA and whatnot. Like, I was at a time in my life where I was still sort of like trying to figure out which way to go. We'd already done everything ground up federation-wise, being an athlete to a coach to a referee to an official, then it kind of, just like with everything I do in my life, natural progression. You kind of want to learn everything ground up and then try and perfect it. And that was the natural path. Like for me, I felt like helping sports federations develop, was something that was just felt like my duty, because of my background. Like, so it kind of felt natural leading towards that. And a student of mine, like Best, who as well, he was a former MMA athlete and Muay Thai athlete. He was really inspired as well, and he asked me to help. He was like, "Why don't we help set up an MMA federation in Thailand?" So I guess the core thing came from wanting to help develop MMA in Thailand. So then you kind of think about what you got to do with that. 1, 2, 3, you lay out your plan, you find out what's going on, but then you kind of find out that like sports politics is a little bit more complicated than you think. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot of the knowledge comes from knowing the law, international laws and national laws. So definitely being an advantage, having that knowledge, you're able to maneuver and figure out things and the way to get things done a lot easier. The unseen hand, as they say, So with Gamma being like a prospect for being the Global Association of Mixed Martial Arts, we developed a relationship with the president and with the people there, and we kind of felt that like I at the time I became the chairman of the ethics committee. So I kind of like, we helped develop the sport, and we hosted these huge events in Thailand, the World Championships, the Asian Championships. Like actually we did that twice, with also the Asian Mixed Martial Arts Association, which is recognized by the Olympic Council of Asia. So, these global organizations, they kind of know what's going on and what needs to get done to get MMA recognized. But I'm looking at it from a perspective of like, Thailand, like, because, how are we going to help develop the sport here so that the Thai people can benefit from it? But then you see how like Thailand has become just this hub like for martial arts. Like, so you got like people from all over the world coming to train and compete in Thailand, like in Muay Thai, in MMA, in grappling, kickboxing. So it's just become a hub. Like, so just that combining those two things, like, it kind of, you again, getting a good group of people together to figure out what the right steps are to move forward. And then, dealing with the Global Association of Mixed Martial Arts, you're basically dealing with all the other national federations around the world from every country that are also trying to get MMA recognized, And what are we talking about being in the Olympics? If it's in the Olympics, that means it gives the opportunity for every country to create an infrastructure where you can do things like what we're doing, where you're helping kids from the ground level up.
Yeah. Thailand's become quite a hub. I mean, it's like 10 years ago, there was a little street in Phuket, for example, where Tiger and Phuket top team was. And now when you actually look at that long street, now it's completely condensed with all these different schools for fitness, nutrition, mixed martial arts. There's gyms up in Bangkok. Now, obviously, that's a huge mega gym now. And obviously you have like great grappling gyms like Phuket Grappling Academy. It's pretty incredible what has happened. But then it caters a little more to the foreign crowd, obviously. And what you're trying to do is get MMA more into like locally, let's say. What do you think are some of the ways in order to do that so that you can get like local fighters? And what do you think kind of like the barriers are for local athletes to become mixed martial art athletes, let's say, in Thailand?
I think that like what's emerged in places like Phuket is just phenomenal. Like the way that there's this whole martial arts community that's popped up that has initially revolved around Muay Thai. Is great for athletes. Like it just creates so much more opportunity. So just like, I guess the scene in Bangkok and other areas in Thailand is a bit different from Phuket. Phuket, they got their own thing going on there, and they're so ahead of the game when it comes to like professional martial arts. That you kind of have to you have to acknowledge that, and you have to find a way to work with that. Because, when you're an MMA federation that's just been approved by the government to regulate the sport of MMA. What you're responsible for is basically all the good stuff, yeah, but dealing with the worst case scenario as well. And what is the worst case scenario? Someone could die.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to prevent that from happening. You know, and like we spoke about before, create a sport around it where it's a simulation of war. We don't actually have to kill each other, like, you know. So again, like networking and relationships is so important for that, like, because it's not like the federation's coming in to regulate and be like the police of MMA and say like you got to do things this way and that. No, there's amateur MMA and there's professional MMA. With amateur MMA, there's a certain way that it's done on a global level right now so that it's going to get into the Olympics one day. That's on that scale. And by the way, we already got MMA in the SEA Games for the first time this year in Thailand. So that's monumental, like, you know. So having that, like, creating those opportunities for all these countries, what we spoke about before, like that you kind of, that's on its path. But when it comes to professional MMA, there are different rule sets. You know, so different rule sets that different professional organizations use. Like, so our job as a federation is to acknowledge those rule sets and give them support. You know, because done the right way, which a lot of the organizations are doing now in Thailand, you can actually help develop the sport. Done the wrong way, you can destroy the sport, right? So I guess, like, you know, being that bridge right now, like, and being able to execute that kind of, you know, I don't like this word in terms of authority. Like, I like to say responsibility, like, you know, and how the federation can support and help MMA organizations, combat organizations, combat gyms, these things, like, you know, that you're in a really good position, like, because it's basically like the government giving everyone permission. Yes, you can do MMA now legally, but just do it the right way. Make sure no one dies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, so as I said, amateur is really, really safe. Like, you know, the rules, like, we held the qualifications for the SEA Games, like, recently, like, that's going to happen in October, SEA Games. And, you know, everyone was just so happy, like, to see such high level, skill level of Thai athletes compete against each other. And a lot of these Thai athletes, they train at gyms where they have foreigners that are teaching and gym owners, like you know, many different types of gyms.
Yeah. Explain the selection process to me a little bit, because obviously Monday you had the selections, and it was like a single elimination competition. And obviously with MMA, there's a lot more moving factors than, let's say, grappling, for example. Yeah. So and it's one round as well. So explain the process, what the rule sets are, and just where the location was as well, because it's quite a historical location as well. So they're like Lumpinee as well, right? So
yeah, definitely being partners with Lumpinee Boxing Stadium, Lumpinee Boxing School, One Championship. You know, this relationship is giving us a platform to also grow the sport in a different way as well. Like, you know, especially being in Bangkok and being such a historic stadium. And showing the Thai people and the world how connected MMA and Muay Thai is, and how it's a good thing, you know, and they help each other. It's going to be so positive moving forward for the development for all of these sports in Thailand. You know, if you try to sort of like separate and segregate it, it's there's no point, because Muay Thai it's the national sport here in Thailand. Like, you know, so definitely having found that way, naturally they gel together through the good work that everyone's been doing in Phuket, like in Pattaya, in all these other places in Thailand. Like, that's why we're in this position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the competition that you had on Monday, it's on the right next to Lumpinee Boxing Stadium, at the boxing gym. It was quite a high level event. And but the rule sets are a little bit different. Obviously, with global mixed martial arts, there's 3 5-minute rounds, for example. But with this selection process, it's a 3-minute round.
So, like, for amateur MMA now, like, we have these 3 different, let's say, FOPs, we call them, field of plays. Mm-hmm. You have on the tatami, which is a big open tatami space where you have a boundary. If you step out, you got to restart in the middle. Mm-hmm. We have in the ring, MMA, and we have in the arena, we call it, which is kind of like a cage. So I guess the rule sets are a little bit different. So like on the tatami, you if you step out 3 times, you kind of lose. Like, so it's kind of the same concept as like Olympic judo or taekwondo. The concept is you kind of want to stay in the middle and fight. Also, when you go to the ground for the AMA rule sets, like this is only for Asia though, the AMA national teams, you only get 10 seconds to work. There's no action within 10 seconds. They stand you up. You start on the feet again. So it's quite, like visually, it's quite exciting to watch. Like, you know, being an open space tatami, and you get to see them sort of like go toe to toe in the middle. Like, you know, you kind of get it. But yeah, so when you go in the arena, then you have like different rules. There's obviously amateur, like all of these. There's no elbowing to the face. There's no kneeing to the face. But you know, and the youth rules are very safe. There's no punching or kicking to the head. The face, like it's all body, takedown, submission. So it's super fun for the youth as well. Yeah, that being the main difference, and basically the referees and the way that they're trained to sort of, you know, it's not like professional MMA where you kind of keep going until the referee pulls until your partner can't go. This one is like if you take 2 or 3 unanswered shots or whatnot, the referee, he can stop the match. Like we said, we're stressing safety here, like for sure. Yeah.
That was a great event, and pretty amazing watching Amp in action, because she's actually had quite an extensive like MMA career in Japan at Jules, for example, as well. And just it was a
pocket rocket, man. She's on a roll, man. She came back, man. Like, you know,
that finals match was incredible. It's a 3-minute round, but I predicted in my mind it was going to take 90 seconds, and she did it in 30 seconds.
There's so much drama behind that. Like, you know, people, you see the fight, but you see and some
story behind it.
Yeah, like she's been around for so long. Like she's beaten some of the best. Like, you know, in Thailand, like the best MMA fighters. And then she came back sort of out of retirement and joined the national team for MMA. We went to Cambodia, we went to the Philippines. Like, you know, she placed well in these amateur competitions. She did so well. And she's just dominating like nationally now, like, you know. So, I mean, with her again, like it just, having reached that level, like you said, in Japan professionally, like, you know, for her representing Thailand in the SEA Games is something that is like, you know, for her, that's priority for her. Like, you know, if you talk about like her fighting in like one championship right now, like or one Friday fights, like obviously that's something that would be good for her as well, right? But balancing those two is important. Why shouldn't amateur fighters be able to fight in professional events and vice versa? What is the actual definition of an amateur fighter and a professional fighter? I think that like we've come to a consensus now through the worldwide amateur events that we've done is that you use amateur rules, you have pro rules. So if you follow those rules, what difference does it make if you had more professional fights than, you know, maybe you've had your 0-2 as a professional and you come and fight in amateur. What's that compared to someone like from Kazakhstan who's had like, you know, 20 amateur fights, like, you know? So yeah, definitely having the global associations, it's brought more clarity to like the global level of MMA. Like some of these guys in like amateur MMA, like literally they could run through anyone like in a professional organization. Like they've had so many fights that they're so good, like, you know. But again, like professional MMA and fighting is again, there's a lot of marketing behind that as well. Like it's got to make sense, like, you know, especially like big organizations, you know, like One Championship, like in the way that they create like national heroes through their platform, like, you know, that's amazing as well, like, you know. Sure.
So with you trying to get it nationalized, let's say MMA nationalized and standardized, for example, how has the influence of one FC been, let's say? Because obviously they've come to Thailand and they have a lot, well, they have events every Friday or every weekend. You have professional grappling matches. Friday nights focus a lot more on professional Muay Thai fights with 4-ounce gloves, for example. How do they both kind of like tie in together?
I think like, again, for me, like staying the path, like, and having such like, and having a clear vision of how we want to develop the sport positively, like, and meeting Chatri and becoming friends with him and, because we train together as well, like jiu-jitsu, and it's like you form a bond with someone, and you can only form a bond with someone if you share the same kind of visions. Like, our people's characters aren't the same, personalities aren't the same, but if you share a common positive vision, like a lot of the stuff that kind of comes naturally, like, So like, the vision with One Championship, like it being, so relative to the culture also in Asia, it's about respect. It's about these things, like, in a sport where it can be brutal, like, and that is the beauty of it, like, So definitely, like, sharing the same vision, like, and what that, like, we get a lot of support, like, from our network, and One Championship being so prominent, like, not just in Thailand, like, around the world now, like, it's, again, it's a blessing to work with them, with things like the foundation as well that we run, and grappling tournaments that we do, like the Siam Cup, stuff like that. So, yeah, again, a blessing, but also something that has come about naturally, I feel, like, just by living the lifestyle of having a passion for martial arts.
Mm-hmm. And you're now the Friday night commentator. Friday fights.
But right now we're doing Grapple Asia Podcast.
Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, again, like being friends with Chatri is like, he just kind of messaged me one day. He was like, man, I think you should give it a shot. Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I do like interviews like, all the time, like on TV, like about federation stuff. But that's different. Like, when you're doing interviews for media, like that's all the other stuff. Like you're talking about like talking in front of millions of people, like about martial arts. So of course, like, you kind of, if someone like Chatri says he thinks you might be able to do it, of course you want to give it a shot. Like,
of course,
believes you could do it, of course you want to try and see that succeed. Like, but it didn't go the way I thought it would the first couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I don't even watch those episodes anymore. Like, so like, going from that to now just being comfortable, like, just, driving the show and being a part of that show, like, it's amazing. But again, the team is amazing, like, to be able to do that. Like, but it's like one of those moments where you kind of on a cliff and you don't want to look down. So you don't want to actually think how many people are actually watching. Yeah. Every single word that you say has to be clear and don't make a single mistake. Like, while you're watching fights, while you're doing like pre-recordings, like while you're doing interviews, like giving out bonuses, like, all these things, like, I found like it can't be done robotically. Like, either I have to be in it 100% or I'm not at all. Like, so again, we got to analyze what we're trying to do here. Like, what we have to do justice to the athletes, because that's what the show's about. It's about the fighters. So you got the platform, like this global platform for them, but just giving them that platform for them to show their story, win or lose. Like, that's what I'm there for. Like, it's not for me at all. Like, it's for the athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. How have you found, like, obviously with UFC, it's like MMA matches, right? And it's in the cage, but then with Lumpinee, it's usually like a normal, like a ring, basically, back like the Pride days, for example. And there's Muay Thai, there's professional grappling, and there's MMA as well. In terms of commentating, is there like any kind of differences in how you're kind of like communicating for each different, like, let's say, aspect of martial arts, let's say?
Yeah, I guess like I think that the comparison is quite evident. Like, again, it comes back to culturally. Like, I think in the States and in the US, you're kind of given this impression that you have freedom of speech, but then when you speak your mind, you get in trouble. So culturally, especially in Thailand, it's like we just think, why go through the process of disrespecting someone anyway, like, just be nice, like, but again, during fighting, like, so you don't know what's going on, like, why someone could be biased, or why someone could make a mistake, or why, a commentator is having a bad day, like, you just never know, like, you can't, things aren't always what they seem, like, especially when you're on a show where like millions of people are watching, like, it's high intensity, like there's literally like zero room for error. So like everything you say like has to be, if it's not calculated or it's not coming out of a flow, So you see what I mean? Like, so, but again, it's different type of entertainment. Like, we love them all, like, but just different. And for me, like, again, because it's not me commentating and being there, it's not, I don't feel like I got to be as subjective as possible, like, and non-biased. And just as I said, win or lose for either athlete, give them that platform where they can shine and tell their story so that everyone knows, and yeah, if you've been an athlete in any combat sport, like, that feeling of losing. And it's not nice, even like, just getting excited when you're with your friends and you're watching a fight and you're like, you see someone get knocked out and you're like, you say, but when you're on live TV, even if you say something and they get knocked out and maybe the fighter watches it, he says, they sounded disrespectful, like, so I kind of like, it comes out naturally, careful, like, yeah, you want to be careful what you say, like.
Yeah. Somehow I ended up cornering one of the matches with Diz's guy, Rabindra, as well. Yeah. How was that? Because, like, you train with Diz, obviously, and these fighters kind of like fighting for the second time, man. It was a tough one, wasn't it?
Div's a warrior, man. He's such a legend out there in the pool, like, another product of the system at Arete, like, and what that's produced, like, so many, like, people that have gone back to their country and just started amazing projects. And that fighter, Ravindra, he was one of those guys that, like, a student of our student, when you get to that level, you kind of feel like you're a grandfather, like,
It's pretty amazing. They just had their Nepal Warrior Championship 6 as well, so they're doing really well.
Amazing. Yeah. And countries like that, like, they have no choice but to just take the reins and just develop the sport, like, and as long as their heart's in the right place, like, they could be successful, like.
Yeah. So, just one of my last questions for MMA. What do you think are some of the challenges facing MMA in Thailand right now?
Challenges, I think we're on the right path. Creating an even playing field for everyone to take part in, I think that's important. And I think that a lot of the time, people are busy and whatnot, but, like, if you have queries or if you have anything, you often find that you might need to reach out as well, because you never know when someone's thinking about you and but they're just too busy to, especially at this level, like, so obviously having the federation is good because everything's official and whatnot, like, but everything's in Thai, so, like, it's hard for, like, foreigners to follow that stuff, like, but we've got Google Translate now. You can use that little video thing, like, scan it up. I've got 2 phones, I do that as well, like, but, but, like, on the good path, like Tama being involved in things like, 23 seconds, like Dewa Films production, like, we got to put the MMA Federation and the Foundation in a movie production, which is just amazing. Like,
it's a big step, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
so tell me about that then. I mean, you're one of the co-stars, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, after filming for like 4 months, and the whole project took about a year.
Yeah. So what's the film about? Obviously, it's martial arts, obviously, but give us the plot.
The plot comes from why the film was made. Like, Peter Taslim, with me and my brother, like, he's a producer of the movie. We've known each other for 20 years. Like, you're talking about, like, basically someone who is like me, but from Indonesia. He grew up doing judo, like judo legends in Indonesia, like. And Peter's brother Joe, like, he's a legend in Hollywood now. Like, he played Sub-Zero in the last Mortal Kombat, like, And Peter now, like, having done acting and whatnot, producing movies, like, he wrote a script. So, Asian films and Asian drama films, especially action drama, like, they're very deep, like, in their storytelling.
Very emotional.
And there's a lot of action, there's a lot of drama, like, and there's a lot of showing the cultures of Thailand and Indonesia, and the level of production in Thailand and Indonesia, and showing the pathways and the development through sport. But just, like, it's never been done before, shown in a movie, like the way that amateur sports and the professional sport is going to be represented in this movie. It's never been done before, like, I can guarantee that, like, But, like, when he wrote the script and was just sitting in his living room, because I go to Indonesia to do the events anyway, right? And they were just like, I need someone to play Somchai, I was like, I read the script, And if someone at that level believes you can do it, you got to say yes. You got to take that opportunity. You're talking about like, you know, those brothers, the Taslim brothers, they're legends in Indonesia. Like, so getting that opportunity from them, like, was just amazing, man. Like, we took that one, we run with that, 23 seconds, action, drama, some love scenes, some crying. It's going to be amazing.
That's awesome. So, I've got a few final questions to ask. They're personal and future goals. So the first one is, what's next for you? And any big plans or projects? Obviously, you have the event in October as well. But let's say personal future plans.
I think like for sport development stuff, we've got MMA in the SEA Games. We need to focus on that. We've got the national team competing now regularly around the world. There's a lot of things that could be added to that. Again, on the global scale, getting MMA into the Olympics will kind of set that course on it. It will take its trajectory, like, you know. So coming back to things that are of passion and wanting to do those and stay in touch with those, like something like the Siam Cup, which we organize, which is the longest running jiu-jitsu tournament in Thailand. And there is no other tournament like that anymore that exists with that type of energy like that it has. Like, so being able to host that annually still every year for the people of the grappling community is amazing. Like, you know, and again, coming back to that, like having founded that, like we got to a stage where, you know, we just grew so fast. And then we had that conversation, with you, Mac, and with Ben as well. Like, you know, we were just like, you know, we had to bring in the right people to help us expand even more. You know, because a tournament like that, you can't just you can't just let it grow. Like, you know, when you got 1,000 people coming to compete, you gotta have all your things in place, right? So like, getting the help, getting the partnership with the right people, like, to help grow that, like, is a passion for us, because it's the jiu-jitsu tournament, like, where you got the people that there's no barriers, so that, like, the coaches and everyone, they're all like mat side, like, you know, it's just so rowdy, like the kids love it, the older people love it, we love it.
Yeah, I look forward to it in July for sure. Yeah. Second last question is, what does a black belt mean to you?
I think, like, you know, there's that saying where the comparison between someone who practices one technique 1,000 times versus someone who practices 1,000 techniques one time. And my always thought to that is, what about the guy who practices 1,000 techniques 1,000 times? Like, so carrying that mentality, I always felt like put me on that path for seeking more knowledge. So you say, well, a black belt means to me, like, okay, there's the official process that goes behind getting a judo black belt or a jiu-jitsu black belt. But then there's, like, around that, like, you know, what does it mean? Like, reflecting into your everyday life as well. That's important. How can you be like a black belt on the mat and be like a terrible person in life? You know? But again, like we said, nothing's always what it seems. Like, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt. You want it to be not as serious where you can give someone a second chance, you know? But I guess when you get to that level where you're a black belt, you're kind of expected not to make that mistake. You know, and no one's perfect, like, you know. So for me, having been able to make all those mistakes before I got my black belt, well, in jiu-jitsu, I mean, you know, I think that helped a lot. So now we kind of go clear sailing from here. Like,
Yep. All right. And my last question is, who would you like to thank?
Mr. Mac Hamada, having me on this legendary podcast, Grapple Asia, the best martial arts podcast in Bangkok, Thailand.
I didn't ask him to do that, by the way.
No, I mean, again, like, coming back to Arate, like, you know, the group of people there, the owners, the partners, everyone, like, you know, that has been a fundamental core to a lot of the success that we have in our organizations, like the network of people that come to that gym, like, and share a good vision, like, you know, everyone's just amazing there, like, you know, for sure. You know, we've got a long list of other people I could thank, just as long as the titles that you read, Mac. But, you know, I mean, we don't have to go through that. Like,
All right. So, that's us closing the episode. Thank you very much for doing the interview. And we'll look forward to the event in October and Sam Cup in July. Thank you.
Let's roll. Man, give me a fist bump here.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.